And these are the things that the Lord teaches you when He allows you, when He instructs you how to abound and how to abase. There is very strange grace that is made manifest in the day of your abounding and in the day of your abasing. And these are two different graces. He instructs you. The Bible says that He carried them on eagle's wings. Some of you have gone through things in your life that you should not even be alive. As I was explaining it, some of you have even been adding weight and you've not been eating as much. You're not having how people see you and how you are. Two very different things. It's because you've got to be more in touch with the supernatural. The reason why it is that we don't value our worship is because we are not in touch with the supernatural. The reason why it is that you find us, let me tell you the truth, the reason why it is that you find us, we are careless even in moments of worship. Why we don't engage, why we don't concentrate, because we are not in touch with it. We are not instructed. What is it that determines the worship of a person? Their provision. That which provides for you determines your life. So your allegiance will always go in the direction of your provision. Every single time. And that's why when the Lord has planned and purposed to increase you greatly, then He will make you go through places so that you learn how to depend on Him. To depend on Him in the day of hunger, so that you will not die. So that in the day of plenty, you will not forget. Listen to me. The God that saved the children of Israel from Egypt, delivered them from the land of Egypt, had the capacity to supply everything that they needed in life. In fact, this God gave them silver and gold. Now, where did the problem come in? Because they received silver and gold. This is a thing that they had not been having. And so because now they got that supply, God had to instruct them. Else they would spend, else they would do things like Egyptians. Because the only financial model that they understood was that of Egypt. And that is still our unfortunate undoing in our day. That's why anyone that enters the millionaire space, you have to learn from millionaires. You don't learn from the Lord. You're not instructed. Today your business comes and you get to a place where you are making some good turnover. In that day you will not bother about the Lord. You won't. You don't bother about the Lord. What do? Now you begin learning from the ones that have handled millions. Something you have to understand, child of God, that every time a righteous man rises in financial capacity, he cripples the world economic system every single time. That's why for the economic system of the earth to remain as it has been, that's why iniquity had to be introduced in the church. Had to be introduced in the church. Yeah. It destabilizes how things flow. And I don't know, I feel like I'm straining a bit. Can you sort me out? It destabilizes things. And I want you to look at your own life. I want you to even look at your own family and see yourself. Compare yourself with them, where you're at now, and compare with what the Lord shall do. And look at the entire trajectory of even your own family. Look at your own family. Where is the money? Who has the money in your family? What is their character? Then study, because the Lord shall lift you. Study it. Take note of it. Then you will understand what it is that I'm telling you about. It's a very serious thing. When you come to a place where the Lord increases you, it has significant consequence. When the Lord increases a righteous man, it destabilizes the world economy. There are things that now can no longer be done because of the way man is responding. because of the way creation is beginning to respond. So people that should not be rich are now rich. It always destabilizes things. If you've never known, I don't want to teach much on this. I'll teach it on Sunday during Faith Journey, so you can come to town. If you study these patterns, it's a very interesting thing. Money does not just come to people's hands. It doesn't just come. In fact, how it is in the world is that they believe there are certain people that deserve to be rich. That's how it is. Certain people that deserve they deserve to be rich. They have to be rich. That's the understanding. And so unless the Lord helps you, I need to reduce my lows a bit. Unless the Lord helps you, you will never become. They have been saying that they have to reduce the world population. When they're saying they want to reduce the world population, they're not including themselves there. They are part of the world population, but their financial status puts them in a totally different class, that when people are dying, they're not the ones that die. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why unless you learn how to be fully reliant on the supernatural, that your sustenance is not coming from predictable ways. That yes, you have received the money that is from Egypt, but you're not spending it. That's what the Lord was teaching them. That just because now you have money does not mean that you will now eat because you have that money. Your supply is not being determined because what you've been given is a depleting resource. If you spend what you spend, unless you have a way of replenishing it, what normally happens? It must be depleted. If you spend something and you don't replenish it, it must be depleted. That's why some of you think you have 1 million shillings is a lot of money because of the number of troubles you have now. The day you get 1 million shillings, ask those of us that have tried it. 1 million shillings is put in your hands. Then you begin remembering. You know, there's a time I had 1 million shillings. And then you sit down and begin asking, what did I do with that money? That is normally the question. What did I do with that? Some of you normally say, when I get 100,000, ato umesha ipangia. Hii na hii na hii na hii. You get 150. You say, I will now eat the 50 and do with the 100. Both the 150, the 50 and the 100 go in one direction. And then you sit back and begin wondering, what exactly happened? Because if that is what you're relying on, you will be very frustrated on this earth. There must come an indescribable resource in your life, and that's what you learn. That's what you learn when you abound, child of God. That's what you learn when you abase. And God will never trust you with this glory dimension, which is what I want to concentrate on more. God will never entrust you with the glory dimension until you have learned. Because the glory dimension is too intense, and the glory can never come to you. It can't be about you. Amen. It can't be about you. It can't. The focus cannot be you. You understand what I'm saying? So you will have to do what? You will have to learn. So God will teach you. Anyone that is appointed for glory, because that's how the Bible says. Those whom he foreknew them, he did predestinate, that they should be conformed to the image of his Son. And those whom he did predestinate, those he also justified. And those whom he justified, them he also glorified. So the glory dimension is not just something you arrive at. It's something that you are processed into. So when God has purposed you for glory, when God has set you apart to inherit glory, the Bible says that in the book of Proverbs chapter 3 verse 35, it says that the wise shall inherit glory. The wise shall inherit glory. So there is an inheritance of glory that is kept there. But that inheritance is for the wise. There are things that the Lord will have done. So what will He do? Instruct you into wisdom. Because the instruction is always instruction for wisdom. That's what the Bible says in the book of Proverbs chapter 1. The Proverbs of Solomon. For the instruction to wisdom. The instruction must always be producing wisdom. So why does God instruct you how to abound? To produce wisdom. For you to inherit glory. You understand what I'm saying? Why does God instruct you? To get you into the glory dimension. Do you know, child of God, that the children of Israel could not handle the instruction of the wilderness, so they could not enter the promised land? A generation stayed for 40 years in the wilderness because they could not handle instruction. Yeah. And is it an easy thing? Absolutely not. Yeah. You're in the same church with people that you were with in the same financial space. Now they have shifted. And they are not praying as much as they used to pray. In fact, you know their prayer life. And you've been very faithful during the midnight prayers. You are there really praying. And they are increasing and you're decreasing. There's nothing that makes us call God unfaithful as much as money. Literally, it's just provision. But makes one person consider God very faithful and another one, God is very unfaithful. Those are things you must be instructed in. Because it means unless you're able to stand that, unless you're able to cope. The children of Israel, they were always, murmuring was just so close to their mouths. As long as everything has not gone the way they were supposed to. You have just seen, because this is the thing that baffles me most. You have just seen the Lord part the Red Sea for you. You've just seen that. The Lord has just parted the Red Sea. You've even sung about it, you've danced about it. But then you come to a place where the waters are bitter. And you begin murmuring. You have just